with the Educators Room, and we are here tonight to talk about teacher branding and what you can do with teacher branding and some of the things that you should be looking out for. One of the things that we wanted to talk about tonight is that we are seeing an upkeep of teachers who are concerned with teacher branding. What is it? How do I do it? Why should I do it? How do I do it? So we have created a couple of um, what do you call it, webinars for our teachers to kind of look at. And one of the things that, we want to first talk about is just, you identifying your brand. That's a big deal. A lot of people don't see it. A lot of people don't recognize it. And a lot of people have issues with how to do it. So the first thing we're going to talk about tonight is that you do not have to spend a lot of money in order to get your brand where you want it to be. Really, building a brand can be free to a certain extent. So I always like to use real life examples and, what I've done and some of the things that I've learned. And so I'm going to give you tonight some tools that you can use that will help you as you go through and as you build your brand and you market your brand. So let's talk about a couple of things. So now you know your brand. Now what? Um, One of the things I keep telling teachers when they come to me about this is that you need to make sure that you know what you want to do. When I started the Educators Room, I wanted it to be a blog that was about teachers, for teachers, by teachers. So I stuck with those three things. But I didn't know how to market my brand. I didn't know how to market it, and I didn't know how to get it out to teachers for them to want to read. So let me tell you our story. I started in May. A lot of people know this if you've been reading the blog for a while, is that in the second semester at my district, everybody was told they were going to have to reapply for their jobs. So, as you can imagine, people were scrambling, trying to get their resumes together, freaking out. Some people decided not to come back. And I got the idea that I wanted to start a blog, and I wanted my blog to focus on teacher issues. So, the first thing that I had to do was figure out what I wanted to talk about. I didn't want it to come from directly me, so I wanted it to be different educators and different voices. So I decided to create a site called the Educators Room. And this was, it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to name the site, what I wanted to do in those terms, but I really needed something that would encompass how I felt about teaching. And I felt like the educators room was a site where it was only for educators, and we were going to be about empowering teachers as the experts. So once I figured out what I was going to name the site and what I was going to do, I then had to think about how I was going to get it out. Now, I'm a teacher, so I'm not somebody who was making a lot of money. I didn't have any money, but I did have a vision. Um, so we started with the concept and the belief, and I say we, I mean all of my writers who work for me, um, that if we wrote great articles, the people would come, but we still needed more work. So we decided to turn to some free tools and get your pen and papers ready. And the first thing that I started to do is that I looked at similar sites like ours. We are really the first site written for teachers by teachers exclusively, but I wanted to look at some of the other sites who wrote on education and kind of see how they marketed themselves. So one of the things that I saw, I literally took a list, and every day I would somewhat stalk the the pages, the sites of these big brands who were making millions every day. All right. So tool number one, Twitter. I know a lot of people right now are saying, oh my God, I hate Twitter. Twitter's so complicated. But Twitter is a great tool for educators because number one, it allows you to meet fellow educators for free. All you have to go is to twitter.com, sign up, pick yourself a username, and you've started. Now, we started our Twitter page probably, I talked about this in the last webinar. We started probably the site started in March, April maybe. We started the Twitter page probably in June, almost immediately. And what I realized is that a lot of teachers talk via Twitter. They talk via Twitter through weekly chats, hashtags, discussions, just all kinds of things. So once I had our site up and running, and we were posting articles, talking about things happening in the classroom, it was important for me to get these articles in the hands of teachers. So Twitter was a great tool. Um, so what we did is that we used a free plugin, and the plugin is Tweet Me, and we literally started tweeting out our articles. Now, I know what you're saying. I don't like services like that. They're annoying. You have to be careful how you use these because you don't want an article coming out every 5 minutes. So excuse me, I'm sorry, I've worked all day. Um, Based on when your readers read the articles on your site is how you need to pace when your tweets go out. Our tweets go out once an hour. So, um, and what we do is when we tweet them out, we try to make sure that in between that, we're meeting people, we're introducing ourselves, we're talking about things so that people kind of know who we are. Um, Twitter is a great tool because you'll notice if you're an English teacher, you can use the hashtag ENG chat, social studies teacher SS chat, those type of things to connect with different people. So I want you to take a second. I want you to go on Twitter right now. If you haven't signed up for Twitter, I want you to sign up. If you have, I want you to take a second and I want you to follow 5 people using the teacher branding hashtag. And as I look on Twitter, I see 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, 6 people, 7 people. Okay. All right. So I want you to follow 5 people using the teacher branding hashtag. And remember, think of Twitter like almost as if it is a way to meet people like you that don't necessarily live near you. Back in the day, in order to interact with an with a fellow educator, you literally would have to write a letter, call. Now you can simply go to Twitter, tweet something out in 30 seconds. People know how you feel about something. Um, our Twitter page is maintained by teachers, so we never really have to worry about um, things not being education centered. We try to only talk about things that deal with education, social justice, inner city, rural, suburban. We just try to make sure we cover all faucets. And one of the things with Twitter is that Twitter is not a space where you should feel good about being safe. You need to join different chats and talk to different people, and just offer your insight. So that's just something to think about. The next tool is LinkedIn. Um, One of the things with LinkedIn that we've noticed is that a lot of people don't really understand that LinkedIn is a tool for you to build yourself professionally. And this is what I mean when I say that. Number one, as teachers, we are pretty humble. And when I say humble, I mean that we are pretty much, we're not braggers. We don't brag on what we do. We kind of just, um, we're just here. LinkedIn is a place for you to brag. As you can see, I have my LinkedIn page to the right here. And this is me. This is me, Francesca Warren, teacher, author, education speaker, consultant, instructional coach, publisher. The first thing with LinkedIn is that you need one because LinkedIn allows you to meet people who have jobs on the line. Now, a lot of people say, well, I'm starting my own brand. I don't want to work for anybody else. That's great. But you can make some really good professional contacts on LinkedIn. In the last year, I've probably been contacted about 6 times for jobs. I've had a lot of opportunities through LinkedIn. So how do you do it? If you go to LinkedIn, www.linkedin.com, you can create a free profile. Now, LinkedIn is not like Facebook or Twitter where you can kind of just be that you can just post any type of picture. And it's meant to be professional. So I tell teachers all the time, make sure that you have a nice picture of yourself up. Make sure you're clear about where you've worked, what you've done. You're not shy. Highlight your accomplishments and do things that make people say, oh, wow, who is this? I need to know them. If you go to my LinkedIn page, I'm pretty apparent about, I have videos of me up teaching. I have different jobs that I've completed within the school. And that right there was a huge deal. It took me a good month and a half to get my LinkedIn page ready because I had to sit down and write down everything that I have done. And then also on top of that, I had to make sure that I not only coded myself correctly, but I highlighted. You see underneath my name where it says trainer, author, education speaker. I had to figure out what do I do. And so sometimes it's a lot, sometimes it's little, but you need to do the same. Um, LinkedIn is really great because it's not only is it free, but you can communicate with people. So a couple of weeks ago, I got an email from a school in Kansas that wanted, I'm sorry, not Kansas, Arkansas, that was looking for an administrator. I didn't take the job because I'm based out of Atlanta. However, it's a good tool because people can look at your page and people can say, hey, they're really qualified in this area. Let me see if they're interested in doing this. Um, One of the things that I want you to notice about LinkedIn profiles so that you can learn how to write them is number one, is that you're going to probably have to sit down with your resume. You're probably going to have to sit down and connect with people that you know because people leave you recommendations. They recommend you for certain things. And this is just another tool to build your online reputation. So as you're talking about this and as you're doing this and as you're thinking about LinkedIn, LinkedIn is really should become your best friend. Um, and it's not all about when you're talking about a brand, people need to know who you are and what you stand for and why you're qualified. So when I go through and I put my page up, people know that I've had extensive experience working in urban schools. So it makes people feel better about my brand, the Educator's Room, because it's not just some random person, corporate person who's running a Facebook page for a site. This is a real teacher. I'm a real teacher. So LinkedIn might take you a little bit longer. However, once it's done, it's done. And it's a great way for you not having to carry a resume with you at all times, but you simply sending a link to your LinkedIn page. Um, I want you to take a second. I'm looking right here, and I see a couple of people have made comments. I want you to look at your profile on LinkedIn, and what do you notice about that profile? Just sit there and think about it. All right. Now let's talk about creating a product. So let's say you have your brand going. I'm using us as an example. We have our site going. We are on Twitter. We are on LinkedIn. We are on Facebook. Well, now, in order for you to further advance your professional voice, I recommend that you create a product and sell it. Specifically, something dealing directly with your brand. As teachers, it's been very interesting to see. I've worked with hundreds of fellow educators, and what I notice is that most teachers that I come in contact with are very, very knowledgeable about what they do, and they are experts. However, a lot of teachers don't realize their expertise. I'm gonna use an example. I know somebody who is a guru on teaching kids how to read. And so I went to her and I said, hey, think about writing a book about teaching kids how to read. How do you teach kids how to read? And she was so reluctant because she said, hey, I don't know if I'm a good fit. I don't know if that's really what I want to do. I'm not really the expert. But you need something that will show people, in addition to everything else you're doing, your brand, your website, etc. But you need to create a product and sell it. Um, it's different. It could be a teacher's pay teacher store. It could be an ebook. It could be a teacher tool. It could be a website product. It could be books. All of those things are things that you should do. For the educators room, we're very broad. We do professional learning, we write books, we do consulting services. So when I go through and I talk about the products, it helps further bring home the point to people that we are experts and we have knowledge of what we're doing. Um, One of the teachers, I'm going back to the teacher who is the reading expert. She is in the process of teaching, of creating a book for herself. And so one of the things that I asked her to do, I said, now when you go give professional development, you should really be selling your book along with it. And she never thought about it like that. She said, and it was a mind shift for her because she was so used to giving her work away, which is great. However, when you create a product, and it's representing your brand, you now are responsible for the upkeep of your brand. And there'll come a point when you'll have to spend money. And what better way to make money than something that you already know and you do every single day? All right, let's talk about Facebook. I have a love and hate relationship with Facebook. I think Facebook is great. We would meet a lot of readers through our Facebook page. However, one of the things that I've noticed is that Facebook every brand needs a Facebook page. That's number one. However, you shouldn't become totally dependent on Facebook because Facebook is moving towards making anybody who has a page pay for service. However, not pay for service to have a Facebook page, but to reach the readers. I know it's crazy, but creating a Facebook page is free and is a great tool to connect with other educators. When we're doing a project, we're having an event, when we're doing things like that, we post it on our Facebook page. And we post a lot of different things that's going on in education. We try not to be shy. We try not to be shy. We try not to um, be we try to be aggressive in what we report on in education. And some people love it, some people don't like it, but we want to make sure all voices of education is heard. So when you create a Facebook page, I don't necessarily recommend you being safe. I recommend you posting articles people are going to debate about. I recommend you posting articles that people are going to make them think and make them say something. I suggest that you give your page a voice. Someone should go onto your page and say, okay, I agree, or okay, they made me think about this, or okay, how about they do this? So it's just one of those things that I think people need to get used to. Facebook is a great tool. It's not your only tool, but it's a great tool for you to use to connect with people because a lot of people that are in education are on Facebook. So, after you created your Twitter and your LinkedIn, now you need a Facebook page. Now, one of the things that I want to let you guys know is that this is a shorter video, but I want to give you nuggets of things that I've learned. Um, One of the things that I would say from creating all of this is that it's going to take you time. It's going to take you time to create all of these things, and you're not going to be able to do it all in one day unless you're home for the summer and you just have some extra time. Number two, while you're waiting for your page to build, I don't recommend you buying followers or buying people to be friends with. And I'm going to tell you an example. On Facebook, you can buy fans. You can promote your page. I don't recommend doing that because you want your readers to be authentic. You want them to come to the page because they love the content. So one of the things I tell people who are just starting out is it's okay if you have 5, 10, 15, 20 fans. Instead of worrying about numbers, worry about content and the fans will come. We went from having 250 followers to 10,000 in a 2-week period due to an article that we wrote. So, and now that we're at 20 some thousand, it's almost, we want to make sure that everybody that comes to our page is organic and homegrown. So when you're doing this, don't think that you have to go and buy fans and do all kinds of things. My next advice would be, a lot of people will say, I've had my brand for 6 months. I'm not making any money. I have this teacher pay teacher store. I'm trying to consult. In order for you to make money, it takes time. The first year of business for the Educators Room, we made zero money, zero profits. It wasn't until I was consistent, writing every day, posting every day on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Pinterest, did I start to see an upkeep on what I make. And I find that true today. I make more money when I'm diligent and I'm deliberate about what I do. So as you're looking at ways to increase your brand and increase your marketing and just show people who you are, think about, don't spend more money, get better content. If you focus on content, the money will come. Um, in February, we're going to talk about how to monetize your brand. Other than selling a product, which is a great way, but how do you sell a product? How do you go through and how do you create a product and how do you do these things? So one of the things that we're going to do is talk about this. How do you make money? What's your next step? What are some things you should look into? With that being said, that's all we're going to talk about tonight. If you have any questions, you can email me, info@theeducatorsroom.com. You can tweet me at theeducatorsroom. And our next video is scheduled for the first week of February. And we're really going to discuss during that video is how do you make money and make legitimate money with what you have going on. And that's all that we have. And thank you very much.